Ruvain, everything okay?
Yeah, I have a doctor's appointment this morning. I have to go to.
Has a doctor's appointment this morning.
He's there?
Yeah.
Tell him we're learning at 12:30.
12:30, says Michael.
Okay.
Okay. All right. The learning sponsors, A Year of Learning, Isaac and Evelyn Blachor, in memory of their sister, Rachel Basisra, Friends of Leonie Meisem and Leah Saber Baschanot Zundel, Friends of Malaskotsky, Moshe Zelig Ben Mordechai, Martin Littman and family in memory of his wife, Malka Chana Bas Pinchas, Friends of Herb Jeremiah, Tzvi Ben Zev, Friends of Sam Coleman, Shmuel Ben Yaakov, Friends of Gideon Lazinski, Mordechai Shlomo Ben Meir. A month of learning by the friends and students of Rabbi Shalom Kornblum, Rav Shalom Ben Mordechai, Haran and Mel Haller in memory of her father, Yosef Eliezer Ben Tzvi Hirsch, Mark Scher in memory of his father, Mordechai Ben Menachem Manas, Mark Linder in memory of his nephew, Eretz Paul Ben Silas, Susan and Ron Podolsky in memory of her father, Simcha Buna Ben Yeshua, Michael and Judith Poretsky in memory of his mother, Rachel Bas Avram. Week of learning by Judy Iger in memory of her husband, Aaron Ben Shlomo Michal, Judy Iger again in memory of her son, Anshel Yitzchak Ben Aaron, and today being the 20th, right? Oh, today's only the 19th. Okay. All right. So that one is not for today. No single then. Hashem is having a Leah, crank Rafir. Hashem is having a Leah, crank Rafir, Valley Yeshua, Hashem with Leah, and the Chol B'nai Israel, a good bench. Okay. Right. Okay. Just a quick reminder. 5 weeks from, right? No, 4 weeks from tomorrow. Okay, we will be starting a new Masechet. That's Gittin. That's the next Masechet. So those involved in planning a Siyum should start giving it some thought, at least. Okay. Okay, so we're finished in finishing up the bottom of Kaf Amud Beis to the top of Kaf Aleph Amud Aleph. We had a quote from Daniel where he was giving advice to Nebuchadnezzar. Okay, basically saying to him, okay, that he was citing Rabbi Yishmael Omer Shnayim Asar Chodesh. How did he get 12 months? Okay, as a way of abeyance for this woman based on mitzvah, right? What happens to Chtiv, why it says, right? Len Malka Malche. Okay, so he's citing to advice to King Nebuchadnezzar, Yishafer Aleich B'chiteich. You should basically take counsel and understand, accept my advice, okay, and stop your sinning, right? Parok v'itach, okay, b'mechan inan, okay, in other words, do acts of righteousness, show mercy to the poor, right? And then on the top of Kaf Aleph, Hein ta'ave archa l'shluchtaich, it's going to lengthen the days of your life. Kilo mata al Nebuchadnezzar malka. And this was all said about or written about King Nebuchadnezzar. And after that, it was written, Yarch lektzat yarchin trei asar. Okay, that was the fact that it was after 12 months. Okay, so that could be the basis by which he says that the abeyance could last for 12 months. Okay, as opposed to previous examples that there was 3 months or 6 months, things like that. However, the Gemara went on there, right? Okay, Lektzat Yachin Trei Asar Le'olam Rabbi Yishmael. We could say, right? V'ashkach Kra. That's where we're picking up there, about third line in Kaf Aleph, Amud Aleph. Okay, why? Because he could say, I could find a pasuk, says Rabbi Yishmael, the Amar V'tani, and it teaches the Chtiv, Ko Amar Hashem Al Shlav Pish'ei Adom, taken from Amos on the 3 sins. So if you say 3 situations, Hashem, so to speak, I don't want to say forgive, but puts in abeyance.
Overlooked.
Okay, that's right. So therefore 3, right? So that would be, okay, period. You could say that would be a certain amount of time. Okay. Umay afal pi she'ein raya ledavar zeicher ledavar. Okay, so therefore, even though there's no actual source, okay, it's a suggested source. Dilma, okay, so at that point, how is he going to get the whole year? Because if he says 3 times, okay, therefore, all right, that's 3, right? So that's 3 months, or you want to say, somebody else's more than that. You could even stretch it to 12 months was the pasuk from Nebuchadnezzar. So 3 times 12, okay, that would be the 3 years. That's where he gets it, okay? So the Gemara then challenges it as we finish this section. Dilma shani of de kochavim, delo mekape dina alayhim. That perhaps the Hashem is not as quick to bring about justice, okay, for Gentiles, but he is quicker to deal with justice for Jews. In other words, either for good or for bad, okay? Okay, so that brings us now to the next section from the Mishnah. Okay, is yesh zechut tolesh shlosha shanim v'chulei. Okay, so we said that one could have some sort of merit, and the woman could have some sort of merit, and that would defer, okay, her punishment. Okay, we saw the argument 3 months, so on, etc., etc. Okay, so what the Gemara wants to know, what's the zechus? Zechus demai, okay, and I just was asked, by the way, for Friday, because of some women are going to use the auditorium, we're going to meet in the library Friday instead of in here. Okay, just to keep in mind, Friday. Okay, what's happening in here? It's the 8:30 minyan has to meet in here because the women have their Rosh Chodesh davening in the auditorium. The new library. In the new library, yeah. Zechut demai, okay. So what's the merit? Ilem is zechut de Torah. If we say that it's the chut for learning Torah, and I pointed out, remember the other day, that we said that there was a difference of opinion between one rabbi who said, yes, you should teach your daughters Torah. Therefore, and one said it's no, teaching them Torah leads to promiscuity. Okay, so what's the situation? Torah. If we're going to say it's the merit of Torah, but here she's not commanded and she does it. Nevertheless, right? She shouldn't get that special kind of merit, right? Because only Gadol Mitzvah should get such merit. Ela zechut the mitzvah, but rather we'll say it's the zechut of doing mitzvot. Okay, and okay. In other words, there are mitzvot that a woman has to do, and that therefore she should get some merit for those. Now, most of a good part of the rest of the Amud is going to discuss for us what is the merit for mitzvah and how is that different from the merit of learning Torah. Okay, and we're going to see it's going to make certain comparisons. Okay, let's go now. All right, so what happens? Ela zechut mitzvah. Zechut mitzvah, mi magana kulihai. Does the merit of doing mitzvot really protect one so much? I'll translate it. Vahatanya. And aren't we taught elsewhere in a Braita? Et zo darash Rabbi Menachem bar Yossi. This is how Rabbi Menachem bar Yossi darshaned it, the following. Citing the pasuk in Mishlei. Ki ner mitzvah v'torah or. Okay, source should tell you where this show got its name. Okay, and therefore what? There is a ner mitzvah, a light or a lamp. Okay, is compared to a mitzvah, but Torah is compared to almost daylight. Okay, so let's see what happens. So this is how he continued his drasha. Now, Tala hakatuv et mitzvah b'ner, that the text seems to imply that fulfillment of mitzvah is like a lamp. Et haTorah, and fulfillment of Torah, and we're here talking primarily Torah study, okay? Ba'or is like almost daylight. Et ha-mitzvah b'ner lomar lach, the comparison to make mitzvah observance like a lamp is to teach us what? Ma ner eina megina ela lefi sha'ah, af mitzvah eina megina ela lefi sha'ah. The same way that a lamp only is good temporarily, so performance of mitzvah only is going to protect temporarily. Ve'et haTorah ba'or, and the fact that the next part of the pasuk compared Torah to light, longer light, lomar lach, in order to teach you, ma'or magen le'olam, the same way light protects forever, for eternally, af Torah megina le'olam. So Torah study is going to protect you for eternity. Okay? Va'omer, and it also tells us in a pasuk shortly thereafter, Behit alechecha tanche otach, in your path, okay, you will walk and it will lead you. V'gomer. So we darshan that part of the pasuk too. Behit alechecha tanche otcha ze ohalam hazeh. That in its path, Torah's path, it will guide you. That's in this world. But the next part of the pasuk said, B'shachbecha tishmor alecha. In your going down or lying down, it will protect, guard you, watch you. Zomita, that refers to death. Vahakitzota hai teshivecha. And furthermore, the rest of the pasuk, okay, what does it tell us? La'atid lavo, and that comes to tell the world to come. Mashal la'adam. So now we get a comparison, okay? And so now I want you to see again the interflow here between discussion of our topic and its flow into Agadata, back and forth. We've seen that a number of times already, and that continues here, okay? So those, you don't have to miss the Agadata. Okay, what happens? Let Mashal Adam Shayam Alech Beishon Laila Va'afela. We're talking about the parallel. Okay, a parable of a man who is walking in complete darkness and night, right? Umit Yarem in Hakotzim, and he's afraid of thorns. Umina Pechatim, and from pits. Umina Barkanim, and from thistles. Umechaya ra'ah, and wild animals. Umin halistim, and from robbers. Ve'eno yodea be'ezed derech mahalech. And on top of all that, he doesn't even know if he's on the right path, on the right road. Okay? What happens? Continues. Nizdamnah lo avuka shel or. If it happens that he comes across, okay, a torch, okay, a lit torch, okay, nitzal min hakotzim, umin pechatim, umin barkanim. He is saved from the light of the torch, from the thorns, and from the pits, and from the thistles. Va'adayin mityareh michaya ra'ah umin halistim. But he still may be afraid of the wild animals and the robbers. Ve'eno yodea be'ezed derech mahalech. And he doesn't necessarily know for sure still if he's on the right roadway, the right path. However, says our Gemara in this mashal, Kevan she'ala amud hashachar, once sunrise comes up, or once it's dawn, right? Nitzal michaya ra'ah umin halistim. He's saved from the wild animals and the robbers. Va'adayan eino riodea be'ezed derech mahaleh. But he still may not know for sure if he's on the right roadway, right? Higia leparshat drachim. Once he reaches a crossroads, nitzal mikulam, then he's saved from all of them. Because then when he sees the crossroads, he knows which direction I have to go in to get to my goal, okay? Interesting note, by the way, in Art Scroll there, where it cites some of the Mefarshim for Agadita, how this applies to life, death, and the world to come. Okay. Anyway, davar acher, another example, another explanation. Aveira mechaba mitzvah. Commitment of a sin is going to extinguish what merit you might get from a mitzvah. Ve'ein avira mechaba Torah. But a sin is not going to extinguish the merit of Torah learning. Shenamar. Why? Because it says in the following pasuk from Shir Hashirim, Mayim rabim lo yichlu lechabot et ha'ava. Deep waters or many waters cannot extinguish or cover love. Okay. Well, of course, we're talking about love of Torah learning. Amar Rabbi Yosef, he says, mitzvah, regarding a mitzvah, be'idne da'asikba, we're talking there at the time that one is involved in doing it, megana umatzla, it protects one and saves one. Ba'idne delo asikba, but at the time that one doesn't do the mitzvah, isn't involved in doing the mitzvah, right? Agune megana, it may protect one. Atsule lo matzla, but it doesn't necessarily save one at other times. Whereas Torah, okay, bein ba'idna da'asikva, Torah study, whether the time that you're involved in it, ubein ba'idna delo asikva, or whether the time that you're not involved in it, megana umatzla, it protects you and saves you. Now, mat kifla rabba, and some say it should be rabba. Okay, ele me'ata. If that's the case, he challenges him. Okay, what about the following two individuals? Doeg va'achitofel, milo aske b'torah. Okay, don't we find that Chazal refers to them as people who learn Torah? Okay. Amai lo higina alayhu. Why did it not protect them in their situations? Okay. Ela amat Rabbah. Says Rabbah as follows. Torah, regarding Torah learning, be'idna da'asikba magana umatzla. At the time that one is involved in it, okay, it protects and saves. Be'idna delo asikba. But at the time that one is not involved in Torah learning, agune megana, it does protect one. Atsule lo matzla, but it doesn't save one. Mitzvah, so you're going to say at that point, I would ask, okay, doesn't that seem to imply that Torah study and mitzvah is the same? No, the Gemara is going to tell us with the following statement. Mitzvah, bein ba'idna da'asikba, whether it's the time that one is involved in carrying out the mitzvah, bein ba'idna delo asikba, or whether it's the time that one is not involved in carrying out the mitzvah, agune megana, it protects one, atsule lo mitzvah. He claims it, but it does not save one. Ravina Amar, Ravina responds to this discussion. Le'olam zechut Torah. No, we're talking here about the merit of Torah study.
Back to the social life.
Right? Okay. In terms of perhaps she did have some merit in Torah study. On what could that be? Udika amart eina mitzuvah va'osa. And when you're saying that a woman should not have the same merit in Torah study, because she's not commanded to do so, where a man is commanded to do so, because it says Daber B'nai Yisrael, and we understand B'nai Yisrael being the males there. Okay, Nehi the Pekude la Mifkan. Okay, let's understand that she is not necessarily commanded to do it. Ba'agra, but regarding the reward. Demakrin umatnaiten banayim, that her sons study and learn Torah, okay, in that case. And not only that, vinatran laho legavaraihu ada'atu mibe midrasha, and that the women patiently wait for their husbands to return home from any study that they do in the base midrash. Milo Pelagaan Bahadayim. Aren't they not then, in a sense, protected, guarded in those situations? My parsh. Okay, so that's the answer, that the woman, in a sense, does get some merit from the Torah study that her son or husband does.
She gets more merit from encouraging her kids and her husband to learn than she does if she herself learns.
That's another pshat.
Sending her husband off is a mitzvah.
That's another pshat. That's a different pshat.
It's only a rishus.
My parshat drachim. So what do we mean here when we say the crossroads? Okay, Amar Rav Chisda, I heard that. Okay, says Rav Chisda. Okay. Zet Talmid Chacham v'yom mita. Says, how do we understand the reference to the crossroads? We're talking about a sage in the day of death. Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak Amar, he says, Zet Talmid Chacham v'yirat chet. No, that's talking about the sage and his fear of sin. Mar Zutra Amar, Zet Talmid Chacham T'salka Leishma Atata Aliba Dehilchata. That's a Talmid Chacham, okay, and he derives from his learning based on the halach. Davar acher, okay. Another lesson that we might learn from this discussion. Avera mechaba mitzvah. We said that a sin can extinguish the merit of a mitzvah. Ve'ein avira mechaba Torah. But we say also that a sin does not extinguish Torah learning. Amar Rav Yosef, he says, Darshe Rabbi Menachem Bar Yosef, Lahaikra Kisinai. What do we mean when we raise the question of, when we gave the example of Doeg and Achitophel? Okay, we're explaining it this way, he says. All right, Rav Yosef is saying that's when you interpret Torah like Rabbi Menachem bar Rabbi Yossi did, and take this verse, and interpret it appropriately as was the tradition from Sinai. Va'ilima darshuha, ve'ilema darshuha doeg va'achitophel. And if you're going to say, what about the interpretations that were done, excuse me, by Doeg and Achitophel? What about those? Hachi lo radfu batar David. Those interpretations did not follow what we'll call for the moment classical interpretations, the Torah approach that David suggested. Okay, implying David also was a Torah scholar who had the right Masorah from Sinai. Okay, Dichtiv, right? Yes, Lemor Elohim azvu v'gomer, as if they say that they left Hashem. My darush. What do we mean when we say they interpreted that way? V'lo yira'eh b'cha ervat davar v'gomer. Says you should not have any negative thing there, anything that's going to erva. Okay, and here, okay, ervat davar is not simply a negative act. What we're referring to is real erva. Okay,
David and Bathsheba.
That's what they're referring to. David and Beersheba, Bathsheba. Okay, what happens? Vehein einan yodin, but they did not know. She'avaira mechabet mitzvah, that a sin is going to extinguish mitzvah. Ve'ein aveira mechabet Torah, but that kind of sin is not going to extinguish Torah. Mai. So therefore, how do we understand the phrase "Boz yavozu lo"? Okay, again, that it will make him. I want to say a laughing stock, right? Something like that. Amar ula Lo Kishimon Achi Azariah, Velo Rabbi Yochanan the Ben Nasiya. We're not comparing it, he says. Okay, the fact that their approach is different, or they chose a different approach to interpret compared to David. Why? Because we have, he says, another example, says Ula, that Shimon was, and the brother Azariah, that one Shimon was one who did the work while his brother was able to learn. V'lo Rabbi Yochanan de Ben Nasiya, and not like Rabbi Yochanan in the house of the Nasi, where Rabbi Yochanan learned because he was financed by the house of the Nasi to do his learning. Ela kehillel v'shavna, but rather like Hillel and Shavna. Okay, and who were they? We're going to see they were brothers. Techiata Rav Dimi Amar, because when Rav Dimi came, he explained the following: Hillel v'Shavna achi havu. Hillel and Shavna were brothers. Hillel asak b'Torah. Hillel engaged his entire life in Torah study. V'Shavna avad iska, and Shavna was involved in business. Okay, Lesof, later on in their life, Amarle, one said to the other, we assume it was Shavna who said to Hillel, Ta na'arov v'liflog. Okay, come, let us make a partnership, so to speak. Okay, and we'll split. In other words, let me have some money. In other words, let me have. Okay, we'll split. I'll get part of your zechus of Torah learning, and I'll give you part of my money. Okay, Yatzta bat kol va'amra, says bat kol, a voice from heaven. Im yitain ish et kol hon beito v'gomer. Even if a man were to give his entire wealth, okay, that would not be enough to. That would not be enough to buy the merit of. Okay, so we get to the top of our next Amud, right? Omer ben Azai, he says as follows. This is what he said earlier. Remember, we said it's on the Gemara, there were two views, whether to teach a daughter Torah or not. Okay, in the Mishnah, right? Omer ben Azai, he said, Chayav Adam lilamed et bito Torah. That's what he said. And that was balanced opposite by Rabbi Elazar, who said, Omer kola milamed et bito Torah milamda tiflut, that if he teaches her Torah, he's teaching her promiscuity. Tiflut tzachada altan. Do you really think teaching a girl Torah is going to lead her to promiscuity? Ela ema. But rather, I would say as follows: Ki ilu limda tiflut. It's as if he taught her promiscuity. Okay, how do you think it wants to mean? Okay, in other words, is she going to really take it to heart since she's not commanded to do so?
She's going to, she's going to misuse the ability to, shakla b'tarya and talk herself into misbehavior.
That's another shot. Okay, so there are multiple pshat in it.
Two in our school says it's very interesting.
Right? Okay, Amar Rabbi Abahu. My Tamad Rabbi Elazar. What's his reasoning? Dichtiv. Why? Because we have another pasuk with Mishlei. Ani chachma shachanti arma kevan shenichnasa chachma ba'adam. Okay, so the pasuk is, I am wisdom, I dwell in cunning. I'm going to translate it there. Kevan shenichnasa chachma ba'adam. Once wisdom entered human beings, nichnesa imo armomit. Then there entered along with him, or along with it, really, cunningness. But cunning here is not considered to be, exactly, is not considered to be cunning in the good case, in other words, intelligence, wisdom, but cunning in a sense of negative, exactly. Okay, cunning here means Yetzer Hara. Okay. V'Rabbanan.
That lashon is used by the Nachash. Right?
Exactly. Okay. V'Rabbanan, and the rabbis. Hi ani chachma, mai avdele. When it says I am wisdom, what do they do with that pasuk? How do they understand it? Mebayele l'kedei Rabbi Yossi b'Rabbi Chanina. They need it according to the same view of Rabbi Yossi b'Rabbi Chanina, who gives the following drash: the Amar Rabbi Yossi b'Rabbi Chanina, ein divrei Torah mitkaimin ela b'mi shema'amid atzmo arum alehem. That Torah does not remain steadfast with a person except if that person is, and I'm going to put in quotes, naked with it. In other words, that they really reduce their financial, physical well-being to be able to instead put their physical efforts into Torah study. Okay.
And they give up their ego.
Well, that would be another component.
An older person could learn from a younger person. In other words, you're not standing on ceremony.
That could be another shot, right?
And however you can.
Right? Shnei Amar, as it says, Ani Chachma Shachanti Arma. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, says Rabbi Yochanan, Ein Divrei Torah Mitkayim, Ela b'mi shemasim atzmo kami she'eino. So he rewords it. All right, this one I would say would be more the ego one. Okay, anivus, right? Somebody who doesn't make himself so haughty, so significant, who makes himself, right? Shenamar v'hachma chachma me'ain timotzei. Wisdom, where will you find it? In other words, the person, okay, who doesn't have an overly exaggerated opinion of oneself. Okay. Rabbi Yoshua Omer, Rotzeh Isha. So we have Rabbi Yoshua's statement again from our Mishnah. Okay, Mai Ka'amar. What is he saying? Remember, he made a statement that a woman prefers a certain measurement and relations as opposed to more foodstuffs and no relations. That's what he said. So what happens? Well, the Gemara wants to clarify. Rabbi Yeshua Omer Rotzeh Isha, Maya Ka'amar. What was he really saying, Rabbi Yeshua? Hachi Ka'amar. This is what he was teaching. Rotzeh Isha bekav v'tiflot imo, that a woman wants a certain measure of food and relations, intimacy with him, namely with her husband, mitish'a kavin uprishut, may multiple amounts of food and abstinence. Hu haya omer. Okay, then we got to this next piece. He also said the following. Okay, we said that there were 3 or 4 kinds of people that erode life in this world. The first was a foolish chacham. Okay, so what happened? Okay, so what happened? We're going to see, right? Hu haya omer chasid shoteh. Hechi dami chasid shoteh. So what do we mean? What's an example of a foolish, wise person? Okay, listen to the example. Kigon de katava itata benahara. It's an example where he sees a woman, okay, drowning in the river. V'amar, and he says, Lav orech ara meistakule ba va'atzula. It's not appropriate for me to look at her and see her drowning and go save. Okay? Okay, so that's the example. Second case. Hechidami rasha arum. What do we mean by a wicked person who uses his cunning to deceive? Amar Rabbi Yochanan, he says, Ze hamit'im devarav l'dayan kodem sheyavo dayan ba'al din chavero. This is the person who presents his entire legal case to one judge before the other judge even arrives.
Before
The other litigant and judge comes, right? That the other one who was in the case. Okay. I also found a pshat that said the other was the other judge coming because it's a multiple court.
But it says Baldin.
Right. Rabbi Abahu Omer Zehanotain dinar la'ani lahashlim lo matayim zuz. It's a person who, what does he do? He gives a dinar to a poor person in order to fulfill the amount of 200 zuz. What's so significant about that, right? We're going to see in a moment. Titnan, because we have a Mishnah that says, Mi sheyesh lo matayim zuz, one who has 200 zuz, lo yitol leket shechacha upeya umaaser ani, is not eligible, okay, to receive and participate in the mitzvot of the poor, the corner of the field, forgotten land, forgotten grain, etc., etc.
So the guy gives him
gives him enough money over the threshold, right? Exactly. Okay. Hayalo matayim chaser dinar, because if he had 200 simply missing that coin, that dinar amount, afilu elef not nimo. Even if then you were to give him, right, much more. Okay, then he would still be eligible, right? In that case.
That's like in a modern time, when you give poor people just enough to be over poverty and they can't go work because they would lose that. It's very similar.
Rabbi Asi Amar Rabbi Yochanan, right? I'll give another. Zeh hamasi eitzah lemkor b'nechasim mu'atim. He's giving, this is one who gives advice to orphans. Okay, we need to understand, right? Okay,
He gives them bad advice.
Okay, he's giving them the following advice. Sell what little property you received as an inheritance from your deceased father. The Amar Rabbi Asi Amar Rabbi Yochanan, as in this case, Yatomim, orphans, Shekadmu umachru b'nechasim mu'atim, that went ahead and sold their property, their little property, the little amount that they received as an inheritance. Masha machru, machru. What's sold is sold.
Meaning the girls can't.
All right, as a result of their having sold that, their sisters are going to suffer because their sisters are not then going to have anything by which to receive their, and the brothers have the chiyuv, okay, that they should feed.
The girls have a lien on the property, right, as long as it exists.
Okay. Abaye Amar, says Abaye. Zeh hamasi eitzah lemkorim ben nechasim keraban Shimon ben Gamliel. Or, says Abaye, it's like one who gives the bad advice of selling property within the context of a halachic discussion between Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel and taking his advice as opposed to the other person's advice. And the Gemara is going to present that to us momentarily. Okay, what was it? The Tanya, as we learn elsewhere in a Braita, nichseilach v'acharayach l'fluning. Okay, your property and what's bequeathed to you should go to after you to so and so. Okay, v'yered harishon umachar v'achal hasheni. Okay, and it then went from that person. Okay, and the second one consumed it all. Motzei miyad halikuchon. Okay, it says the Braita raises the question: can you take it from those who purchased it?
Yeah.
No.
I say I'll when I
bequeath
die,
it.
you can have my
X.
apartment,
And then
I want
Shayafaivel to you.
So if you sell it to Reese, Schreiger can go get it.
Right, that's what I'm saying. What happens? You bequeath it to somebody.
Ain't gonna happen.
Somebody again gives it to somebody else who acquires it. But then we say the Braita says you can purchase it from those who acquired it. Divrei Rebbe. That's the view of Rebbe. Take it. Okay. Okay. So, however, that's the machloket. That was the Baal machloket with Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel is giving other advice who they're saying is not good. What was his view?
Rabbi said get the transaction is canceled.
Ein l'sheni ela ma she'er rishon.
That the first guy can get it.
Okay, that he only can. That's what's left is what is received from the first person. Rav Yosef Bar Chama Amar, Rav Sheshet, the name of Rav Sheshet, Zeh hamachriya acherim ba'orchotav. Okay, it's somebody who sort of sweet talks people. Okay, he uses his beguile to charm them. Okay, things like that. Rabbi Zerika says, Amar Rav Huna, in the name of Rav Huna, Zeh hamakel la'atzmo umachmir la'acherim. One who's lenient when halacha comes to himself, but stringent to others. And we'll just roll over a tiny bit. Ula Amar says, Ula Zeh Shekara, okay, one who learns scripture, Vishana, and reviews and learns Mishnah, Velo Shimesh Talmidei Chachamim. But he did not really, one translate is a 10, but what really means, he really learned the proper methods of applying his learning of Torah and Mishnah by studying with sages.
But does.
Okay, and didn't do it. All right, we'll stop right there. And we'll pick up tomorrow the top of Kaf. Okay. We'll be picking up. Have a safe trip. And I want to know, did you ever leave me your phone number in Israel? Okay. Email me your phone number.
Call them up to buy him a beer or what? Take him up, buy him a beer.
No, we go out to dinner.
Close by?
Relatively close. Worked out? Some people don't like to use it because of the structure there, but I think Sid, I have this whole set on my computer. Really? Yeah, I bought the whole set digitally. So when I sit and prepare, I've got the Koran up on my computer and I've got Art Scroll beside me. So I compare the... Really? What they taught you, have it all the whole... Oh, I don't remember. It was a few years back. It's not so bad. I think it does make... I mean, it doesn't go into the detail that I... But it depends, you know, if you're going to buy just the translation or all the notes, and sometimes the pictures or sometimes interesting pictures. Well, okay, everybody, welcome back again, Michael. And everybody have a good day.
Really, I mean, there are other people, but I don't want your intention, you know, your good intention. I don't want
to flying to New York.
Yeah.
I have some kids that I haven't seen in half a year.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I know and my mother. I share my mother and other mother. In Brooklyn, so I'm gonna go visit her.
So you
Yeah, when we fly back on a second trip, we're flying from Israel to New York. Because we saw our kids just now in Pesach, but this way we'll be able to see them again. You know. Again.
But see, they don't make.
All right, have a good secret. And like I said, send me your phone number. Okay. We'll be in touch.
You know, I said when I first came here, I asked people about getting this. No, the years line. And when I asked again this week, and I said, "Oh, there's a whole bunch of them available." but Andrea said, "No one thought of it." I said, "That's wonderful. That's Kabaldic. I get to bend over."
All right, good. No, it sounds great.
Yeah, I brought a lot of Thank you. Wonderful day.
Thank you. Good morning. How you doing? Oh, yeah. Good, good. How was your young?
He's a sweet talker. He just has a good
BRS. Okay, good to see you.
I gotta get up in the morning. Good morning. Hey, that was a great letter you wrote me. Thank you for the letter. That was very impressive.
But I just think you email.
Oh, good.
Go ahead. I can email. I don't have email to that one. So it's about whether or not you want to consider doing a field for
No, I'm not good with that. I don't think I know he also gets the third early. So thank you. No, that's
okay. You're gonna I know you did that.
I did it to them. It was like crazy. I must have been at the beginning of the night.
No, you weren't. No.
I must have been quite insane. I think it takes me 5 days to recover. I'll be glad to do something if it's early in the.
Well, if
it's early as 11 seconds, pick the great spot. Can't get out.
All right, that's good. Go ahead.
I was going to jump over, but I didn't think I could.
No. But if you started 11, what if I say from 11 to 11:30?
Oh.
I thought you hear that one.
Oh, okay. Let me speak to maybe I can get him to do 11 to 30 to 12 or something.
10 to 11, yeah.
Oh, right. Well, so put me down for 11 o'clock.
Yeah, 11:30.
Yes. Yeah. That will do that. Still a great letter you wrote it. And I can't, you know what? I made it so easy for the people to understand that they didn't think that I was saying anything. You understand? When you take some really difficult concepts and make it easy, people say you didn't say anything. That was the problem. But I'm going to probably go back to Mishlei probably it'll be Mishlei and whoever shows up.
Well, right, we've got plenty of time to talk about the fall.
There is no fall. It's summer all the time. Okay, well,
you can throw it 11.
Yes, if you can get me in.
Okay. Yeah, we'll try to. I'll see what Rabbi Yasser wants as well. And okay. All right. Yeah, if not, I have another idea. Okay. And that would be on Shavuot, either Arab Shavuot between Mincha and Maariv, or Shavuot second day between Mincha and Maariv.
That's a good possibility. Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Okay.